occasion that is September 11th. It's been 23 years since 4 jets were hijacked and weaponized in an attack on America. Thousands were killed, including hundreds of first responders. In one local observance in Mercer County, PikeView High School held a memorial for the lives lost on 9/11.
23 years ago, thousands of lives were lost in the terrorist attack on U.S. soil. More than 3,000 lives lost in an instance on September 11, 2001. Police officers, firefighters, military personnel, and civilians never went home again that day. For survivors, many continue treatment to this day for the traumatic experience seared into their minds. Every year, to honor those who lost their lives, PikeView High School JROTC holds a memorial. First Sergeant Compton tells us this memorial is held to remember those individuals that bravely entered the Twin Towers to save the lives of others.
Because a lot of the, especially students that are in high school now, they weren't even born during this, and it's something we do just so people remember and are aware of what took place on 9/11.
The memorial continues following this ceremony. Students gather after for the 9/11 stair climb. One student, Rylan Cook, is also an Athens volunteer firefighter. He also serves as the first lieutenant in PikeView High School's JROTC. Cook ran in his bunker gear to honor the men and women in the World Trade Center who were climbing stairs in their gear as the towers were toppling.
So they realized the amount of weight, because the firemen that went up the Twin Tower, they climbed 210 stories, which was 2,200 steps with 90 or more pounds on their back, and they didn't stop. They just continued to climb.
This memorial service was seen at PikeView High School and in PikeView Middle School. Many of the students were not born or have memory of that tragic day. But as one student says, it is his honor to stand with the color guard and for those lives that were lost.
It's a pretty big honor because I am one of the people who is helping others show honor and remembrance to those who died. People went on to fight in the war on terror and all that, and they lost their lives, and people lost their lives trying to save those who died in the towers. So it's important to remember their sacrifices so they didn't die in vain.
This ceremony lives up to the unofficial motto born on September 11th, never forget. Here for you in Gardner, I'm Abby Lester, WVVA News.
Thank you for that report, Abby.